The Supreme Court today heard arguments in a case that could change mail-in voting rules across the country. The case stems from a challenge by the Republican National Committee to a Mississippi law allowing a 5-day grace period to receive mail-in votes postmarked on or before Election Day. The RNC says the law conflicts with federal election statutes. Mississippi's Republican-led government says it's a state's right to set their own rules. CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson joins me now. Jessica, what's actually being challenged in this case specifically?
So exactly what you said. It's Mississippi's law, and let's be honest, every other state that has a similar law that allows for this grace period. So there are more than a dozen laws that say some version of, as long as your ballot is postmarked by Election Day, then it doesn't need to be received until sometimes it's 5 days, sometimes it's 10 days, but some period after. The question is whether or not that conflicts with federal law. Federal law says that Election Day is the Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Now, does having an Election Day mean that you have to vote and have your vote received by local election officials on that day, in which case the state law and the federal law conflict, or does it allow states to have this sort of grace period? Last thing I'll say in terms of what's really at issue here, we know under the Constitution, states get the first bite at creating election laws. States set the time, place, and manner of elections. But then, Ed, as you know, the second sentence in the Elections Clause, but Congress can make other laws. The question is really whether or not this is another law, a conflicting law.
And in listening to the arguments today, it sounds at least the conservative justices, or those appointed by Republican presidents, had a lot of questions about sort of verifying how we know that a ballot was actually cast on or before Election Day, even if it ended up in the mail days later, right?
That's right. I have to be honest that I think I'm in a little bit of the minority here in the sense of most of the reporting I saw after the 2 hours of oral arguments indicated that the conservatives were pretty much united in their skepticism for the reasons in part that you talked about. I thought that this was about kind of 4-3-2 in the sense of I do think there are two conservatives at least, Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who had tough questions on both sides, particularly focused on the idea of if states can't allow a grace period after Election Day, can they allow early voting? I heard the Chief Justice and again, Justice Barrett being a bit concerned about what does this mean not just for those later votes, but for the earlier votes as well. Are we going to take that discretion away from states?
We will see when they rule as late June or early July. Jessica Levinson, as always, I am so impressed by you and your analysis of all this and the fact that you could distill it into plain English. I appreciate it.